All right, John. Well, thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Can you tell us your full name and what do you do?
Jon Brent Curry, Curry. I'm an actor and a voiceover artist and a coach and a dad. And I enjoy tennis and pickleball and softball.
Nice. And can you tell us some of your credentials?
Well, let's see. I started acting at age 11 in Eastern Washington at the Spokane Civic Theater, actually. And I went on to do productions throughout high school, and then I decided to apply for University of Washington's School of Drama, and I eventually got in there, and I did 5 years actually at UW because I was on the 5-year plan because I was paying for it myself. And then toward the end of UW School of Drama, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know whether I should move to LA or move to New York but instead I had a friend that said, I'm going to grad school and I think you should check it out. So, and UW had a really good graduate program as well at the time. So I went to the IRDAs, which is an association of Master of Fine Arts programs from all across the country. And they do regional auditions. And then if they decide to send you on, you go to the next round, the finals, which are either in New York, Chicago, or LA. And so I ended up going to the finals for IRDAs, and I did my auditions for IRDAs, and we did, I think we did two monologues and a song. If you wanted to sing, you could. And so I got interest from about 8 different graduate programs throughout the country, and I ultimately ended up deciding to go to Temple University, which is in Philadelphia. And I had zero knowledge of Temple. They just offered me a full scholarship. So I was going to go to Washington, but there was no money. There was no scholarship help there. Got into USC, and that was really expensive. So so I ended up going sight unseen to Temple University in North Philadelphia. And I got my master's in fine arts in Philly. I'm glad I went to the East Coast because I had visited, but I'd never lived in a real, East Coast city. And that was coming from Seattle, that was a total eye-opener, let me tell you.
It gets cold over there.
Oh, freaking cold, dude. The coldest winter. I mean, Eastern Washington can be cold in the winters. It snows and everything, but that first winter in Philly, I was totally unprepared. I mean, I might have had like a North Face parka or shell or something, but I just froze my ass off. And I rode a motorcycle. So as soon as it starts snowing, of course, you can't ride your bike, but I froze my ass off. So that was a good learning curve for me, back east winters. So yeah, I ended up in Philly for 3 years. That's a 3-year program. And I ended up auditioning for a production at the Wilma Theater in my first year, actually, which we weren't supposed to do, but I heard the third years talking about it. So I went down and auditioned, and I ended up booking the job. And that almost got me kicked out of grad school, which I would find highly ironic. So yeah, I got my equity card in Philadelphia, actually. So that was my first union card, and I was flying high, and so those are my credentials.
All right.
Allegedly.
Excellent. And some of the shows you were on?
Mm-hmm. Just in general? Mm-hmm. Or you mean stage, film, TV?
Film, TV.
Yeah. Let's see. When I was in grad school, actually, this kind of ties into a project that I'm going to be doing next week. I had a fraternity brother at the Teak House in at Washington, and he had worked for both Bush administrations, and he had met Jerry Weintraub, the big producer, who's since passed, and he was producing The Specialist, which was going to shoot down in Miami, and this is like 1994. So my buddy Pete calls me and he's like, "Hey man, there's this part for you. I think you're right for it. I'm going to send you the sides, and will you put yourself on tape and send it down to me so I can show it to casting?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." So I had a classmate help me shoot it at the theater building one night. And of course, this is on a VHS, so we had to FedEx a VHS to Miami so somebody could watch it. And I guess Jackie Birch was the casting director. She took a look at it, And she was in the hall one day down in Miami, and she's like, "Jerry, I got this kid. I want you to look at his tape for the valet or for the parking kid, whatever." And she goes, "He's a friend of Peter's." And Jerry's like, "Oh, he's a friend of Peter's? Hire him." So that's how I got my SAG card. So literally, maybe 2 times in my 35 plus year career that I've actually had nepotism work for me. All the rest have been auditioning. But yeah, I got my SAG card in '94 by on The Specialist, and then moved to New York and started. I ended up getting signed. When you're in grad school, you do you'll do showcases in New York and LA for agents and casting directors. I think they still do that. And back then, Temple had a good relatively good reputation in New York and on the East Coast. So I had a bunch of agents express interest fresh out of grad school, and I ended up signing with Don Buchwald and Associates for commercials. And I was going out on, just your average, standard commercial stuff on camera. And one day I was at the office and I was like, I really want to get into voiceover. I really think I could do well there. And I just walked into the voiceover department and grabbed an agent. I can't remember if it was John Wasser at the time or Haas or somebody. And I said, "Hey, I wanna do VO, and will you give me a shot?" I'm just fresh out of grad school, and back then, there were no VO courses in graduate school. Now they have them. They're pretty well integrated into the curriculum. But so they said, "Yeah, we'll give you a shot." So they sent me some random Tyco Harley Davidson motorcycle toy, remote control toy thing in Soho, and I ended up booking it, and it was my first audition and my first voiceover job. And I booked it, so that got their attention. So the next thing I booked, my agent comes to the session, and I was like, I'd never seen that before. That was wild. Just sometimes they would just come out of support, and so that's how I started off with voiceover. I just kind of walked in there and knocked on the door and said, "Hey, I'm John. I'm kind of new to the agency," and that's how that happened.
Right. Well, I was going to ask you, what does an actor need to do to become a voiceover actor? Is there a special thing?
So many people just kind of fall into it right now. But I would always recommend training, just acting training first and foremost, because voice acting is acting. Obviously, you have different segments. You have commercial, you have narration, you have promo, you have animation, you have, video games. These are specialties, and it's segmented in that way. But what it really fundamentally comes down to is being an actor first and foremost. So take a class, just like I would tell you, or I would tell anyone starting out, take a class. And a lot of people have great, big pipes, and I've been told that you should really get into voiceover and stuff, and that's great. But if you can't read a piece of copy, or do a scene with someone, or analyze text, or operate a phrase, then the most awesome pipes in the world don't matter. I would always recommend that someone take an acting class, and then take maybe start off in a commercial voiceover class, and then maybe segue into an animation voiceover class, and then you can do a whole series of intensives. And with SAG Conservatory now, it's very affordable. There's some great voiceover teachers there, and there are ways to do it that won't break the bank. And there are very expensive classes as well, with amazing instructors. LA is full. You could throw a pebble and hit a phenomenal successful voiceover artist who's teaching a class right now in Los Angeles. That's no problem, because everyone's scrambling.
Yeah, it's kind of tough right now.
Everything's tough. Production post-strike is, I would say, contracted. What they're saying, 35 to 40%. Seems like more. I just read an article yesterday that said only one in five TV shows is being shot in Los Angeles right now. Everything's been sent either abroad or out of state. We don't have substantive tax breaks like other states are offering. So it's a full-on crisis as far as I'm concerned in Los Angeles right now. And something has to be done in Sacramento about it. Something we have to provide incentives to keep production here. Because I've never seen it like this in 30 years, you know.
So we're talking about the big studios, like
I'm talking about everything. I'm talking post-strike. I mean, the things that we struck for had to be done. They had to be addressed. Certainly AI and you know, minimums and raises and protections. But I've never seen, like, it's weird. It almost seems a little bit punitive, but I'm not, you know, who knows? But I've never seen it contract like this for such a period. And I think there's a lot of product. I think that there was a lot of product that was saved up, that was ready to go on, you know, that was shelved, you know, right around the strike time. So I think there is product that can be released, you know, in the inventory. And that might be part of it. Maybe they stocked up on a lot of finished produced product, the content that can go to air. Okay. I'm starting to see a little bit more breakdowns of stuff. But again, you know, they're asking you to be a local hire in like Georgia, but they don't want to fly you out. You know, they're you know, they're just making it a lot tougher to make a living in Los Angeles right now. I mean, for the average working man, journeyman actor. Not talking, celebrity is a whole nother thing. You know, they can still make $30 million for a Apple Plus.
For just showing up.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're on the committee with the SAG.
I'm on the conservatory committee. It's my first committee. This is my first committee appointment. I've really enjoyed it. I've been in the union since '94, so I've wanted to give back. I ran for like local board a few years ago, didn't get enough votes, and I didn't really know how to do it or know anyone to, you know, at the time. So Kevin, my good buddy Kevin, said, you know, why don't you try to get on a committee? And that's a great way to start, you know, sort of understand the inner workings of SAG and see what it takes to, you know, potentially be on the local board someday or whatever you want to do. And I just wanted to give back because my career has been really good for me. You know, SAG has been a huge and integral part of my development and of my career and where I am today. And I was just thinking it was, you know, time to, you know, give back, get on a committee and learn, you know, sort of from the inside out. And it's been interesting. Yeah, it's been fascinating. And the conservatory is like, it's such a remarkable resource for actors. And if you're SAG, you pay $45 and you're a member for the year, and you can take basically unlimited.
As many courses as you
want.
Yeah,
for $45. I mean, you're not going to find, and these are taught by working professionals. Like, you're not going to find that anywhere. I mean, any young actor today who gets a SAG card, the first thing I would tell them to do is join the conservatory. I mean, it's just such a resource, and it's been shut down because of COVID, and you know. So this is the first year, you know, the intensive weekend a couple weekends ago which we met at was a huge success and packed, and it's just great to see that there's a lot of people that are volunteering their time, you know, to help young actors and actors of any age that are just new to the union.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And when you go there, you can meet not just actors, you can meet casting directors.
Oh, yeah.
Because they have casting directors.
They did.
Workshops.
They did.
They have, you can even meet photographers.
Yep. Photographers, cinematographers, people from AFI, casting. I mean, it was a tremendous success, I think, this year. I'm glad that it's back.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Me too. And so going back to your voiceover acting, so how do you maintain vocal health and stamina?
Well, I come from an acting training background and a singing background as well. And, you know, you learn diaphragmatic support. You learn to support through breath and through the use of your diaphragm. And that's from theater also. So if you're doing 8 shows a week in theater, you have to know how to support your voice in a production, or if you're doing opera, whatever you're doing, because you'll just blow your cords out. You'll get notes. You have to. So that's something I've known about from a very young age. I've worked on video games in particular. That I worked on a first-person shooter a long time ago, and the director was new to the industry and had really no idea what he was doing, and it was like 11. It was like this one goes to 11. Like that was the level of that he wanted for a 4-hour session. And after about 2 hours, I go, I'm done. My voice is gone. I got other jobs this week. That was the only time that I've actually ever been completely maxed out on a job, but that wasn't because nobody could have sustained it. And the other kid that was on it lost his voice for a week, and he couldn't work. So that's an extreme situation. But the only time I've really ever run into it is, would be in a game where if it's like 4 hours of intense combat screaming, then it can be a problem. But these days it's rare, and they try to keep those. The industry now tries to keep those sessions to, if they're really vocally stressful, they'll keep them to like 2 hours.
Okay.
Which is doable. But a 4-hour session, like wall to wall, can be tough. But you have to learn to support, and you drink a lot of herbal tea with lemon and honey if you're starting out, or if you're fighting off a cold, and trying to keep your voice, and you just learn how to not abuse it. And certainly when you don't have to, if you kind of have to save. If you're doing a big job, let's say it's like 50 sessions in a row over several months, which is a big job. You just have to take better care of your voice and
and that
rest.
would be for a movie, right?
No, for game.
For game.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, for movies, same thing. It's just like getting enough rest. But that's just for all of you, just getting enough rest and being prepared and eating well and sleeping.
Yeah, absolutely. Rest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And the older we get, the more rest we need, right?
So do you do any special thing to prepare for a voiceover audition or a job?
No, not anymore. I have a booth at home, and I just basically roll into my booth and my jammies sometimes and have a cup of coffee and I don't do any vocal warm-ups. I do for stage. I do vocal warm-ups, but I haven't done a stage production in a while. But for stage, I do a series of vocal warm-ups. But for VO now, and the other thing about voiceover is that the mic, you got to let the mic do its job too. Like understanding mic distance, understanding what the mic can offer you, what kind of mic you have. You don't need to push with the right microphone. It's just you need to bring the performance. You need to bring your performance to it. But then again, if it's over the top, if it's like yelling combat again, you're just dialing down your level and you're just going for it. But I don't do any real vocal warm up for VO.
Okay, so that's for the VO. But what about like a regular audition? How do you prepare for that?
Well, everything's self-tape now. So I'm very fortunate in that my wife is a former actor, and then all 3 of my kids are SAG members, and they've all worked. And 2 of them are recent college grads, and they've moved back home. So I have built-in readers, which is a luxury. So mostly for me, the self-tapes are just about getting off book if I can. If it's not too many pages of material, I can get off book. The turnaround now is like 48 hours. So, and luckily they expanded it because they were doing like 24-hour or same day bullshit turnaround, and it was like completely unsustainable. And who could prepare for that? And sometimes you'll get 3 in a day and they're all due the same day, or they're due, so you've got to stagger them out and not burn yourself out. And stay energized and true to the material as best you can, because they're just throwing you. And that's not to say like 20 years ago when we were actually going to auditions, it wasn't uncommon to have 3 auditions in a day, and you're driving all over God's green earth, right? But at least you're walking in the room, shaking the casting director's hand, saying, how are your kids? Great to see you, having a laugh, having a personal connection. That's gone. Self-taping, it's gone. So everything you bring to that moment with the camera, from your slate on, hopefully it's being watched. Who knows?
Okay.
You got to bring it. And your performance has to, you can't just dial it in, because that's your only shot. You're hoping to God that it didn't get 800 submissions for a one-day co-star, because who can even get through all that shit? But this is all you have, your connection in the moment with your reader. And I'm lucky. I've got 3 built-in readers. I mean, people that live alone and are spending money to go out and freaking self-tape, that's ridiculous. You should never have to spend a penny to put yourself on tape to be seen. I mean, that's part of, that was part of, SAG protections back in the day, like your ability to audition for SAG projects, right? So it's like, I don't know, man. It's like the upside down world. Like right now, and I'm speaking from a 30-year career as a working non-celebrity actor who's never been a series regular. But I know plenty of series regulars that can't get hired either. So it's like, I don't know what's happening. We're all trying to figure it out in real time.
So you think self-taping is more challenging, and it's hard to book roles with self-taping than if you go to the audition?
Absolutely. For me, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. You even have a better chance. Let's say you self-tape for the first round, and then they bring you back in person for the callback. At least then you might get to meet the director. Depends if it's what kind of project you're auditioning for. You might get to meet the casting director or casting associate. You might get to read with somebody from the office. Like a lot of these casting directors, we've worked with for years, right? And they're saying it's not going back. So, they keep talking about adapting and stuff, but
yeah.
What's the end? What is the end result? Like the relationship part is like, that's the thing that we all miss most, and everyone's like, oh, we miss the actors. And I believe that, but like, bring us in. Yeah. It doesn't have to be the new normal.
So, but they do that on the callbacks, right? They bring you
sometimes it's a Zoom. A lot of times it's a Zoom. It's like a directed Zoom callback. So you're still in your house.
But that's,
it's not.
It's kind of weird. Isn't it?
I drove up here 35 miles to see you for this today because I believe in getting out and being with other artists and keeping the creative spirit and the juices alive.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, madness lies. People are freaking out. People are hurting, and we need each other. And that was another thing with the voiceover agencies. Like, first of all, you would never have had a non-union department, but now they all have non-union departments and influencer departments, and the landscape has just changed so radically. We don't go to the agencies anymore. We used to have 3 booths operating at the agency full-time all day long, just cranking voiceover auditions and partner reads and group reads, and you'd be with other artists in the waiting area, and you'd be laughing and carrying on and having a great time. And that's like therapy for us, because we need each other. Artists, that's the beauty of being on a stage production. You're seeing the same people 8 nights a week, and you have a tight knit, close community, hopefully, and that's so helpful and therapeutic to an artist. And it's just like being on set when you finally do book a job. You're like, oh my God, I'm around my people again. I'm just, I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing, what I was trained to do and what I love to do, and I'm around other like-minded people. That's the biggest, for me, that's the hardest thing. That's what we miss. I miss the most. It's just being with other artists and creating and again, back to the SAG Conservatory. It's like, it's not a commercial for SAG Conservatory, but it's It's an incredible resource that's got to be taken. I just want more people to know about it.
The committee at SAG is doing about this.
You mean like the local?
Like the one you're in?
Well, our focus is on the conservatory itself. So that's just it's making the SAG Conservatory accessible to all actors that who are in SAG who want to pay $45 and become part of this amazing. Just take advantage of this amazing
program.
Yeah, it's just the other stuff is up to the local. It's up to the local board. I mean, we have 80,000 plus SAG members in Los Angeles alone, out of SAG-AFTRA, out of 160 some thousand nationwide. So half of all SAG-AFTRA members are right here,
Los Angeles,
and we know that our IATSE brothers and sisters and our Teamster brothers and sisters are all hurting too. And if they're not shooting, we're all in the same boat. We all need each other, and we all support each other as best we can, during work stoppages. But we need a rope. I don't know about the stay alive to 25 thing. I said it's nice and that it rhymes and everything, but I don't know if that's coming back. I don't know. There are just a lot of unanswered questions right now as to what we don't have a crystal ball. Like somebody said on the, on that panel that we met at the other night, none of us has a crystal ball, and we can't predict where this is going. But I hate the new normal. I hate that term. Like I refuse to subscribe to that. Certainly we have to adapt, and we have to be open to change and adaptation. But there's no new normal. We create the normal every single day. We rewrite the narrative every single day. So this isn't. I refuse to believe this. Like, well, this is just how it is from now on, and you better get used to it. No, screw that. Let's change the norms.
So when they say the new normal, they're talking about self-taping?
I think that's mostly what they're talking about. They're not saying that, but I think that's mostly what they're saying. Hey, and the rates are great, but you need, 100 jobs a year? What would you need to live as a working actor in Los Angeles or New York right now? Like, if you pencil it out, how many days of work would you need to make a living? Based on how tough it is, based on your booking percentage from self-tapes. Like, and mine is terrible. Like, and I have an extensive resume, and I read them all the time. But if you were to break down the number versus back when you were going in person, my booking percentage is just in the toilet.
So what's the percentage? Can you tell us?
Okay. It's just significantly lower. Okay. But it just, I think it's a combination of, they can see submissions from all over the world now. And somebody will fly themselves from, Louisiana to stay at a cousin's house in LA and sleep on the couch and get hired as a local hire in order to get that credit. So that's real. So if you have an agency that's willing to submit you and get you in front and somehow miraculously get you in front of that casting director and you get seen, you have a shot. So that part of it, opens up unique possibilities for people that didn't commit to living in LA or didn't commit to living in New York. It's not a new thing. I mean, that's happened. People have always been willing to make that sacrifice, but there's rules about that too.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So you're saying the future is unknown.
It's unknown, right, and I just don't like the term new normal. But it is unknown. I'm not pessimistic about the industry, because there's always going to be great new, upcoming, extraordinarily talented writers, directors, producers. I mean, even my daughter wants to get into it. Two of my daughters want to be in the industry. One wants to be a filmmaker. And I mean, it's your job to support their dreams and their passions, but it's also your job as a parent to be very clear and objective about the state of the industry. And since my kids have kind of grown up in it, and I'm trying, without being cynical, I'm trying to encourage them to, they at USC, my daughter was School of Dramatic Arts, and they talk about the multi-hyphenate a lot, and it's another word I hate, but it's true. You do have to be a multi-hyphenate, but let's just call it produce, direct, act, write, blow. Let's just say what we're doing, okay? But yeah, you have to take control of your own creative journey now, because nobody's going to do it for you, and no one's just going to. I mean, I really thought, when I was coming up, I thought, by the time I'm in my 50s, people will just be giving me offers. I'll just be getting straight offers, right? No. I think twice I've had friends like. So the tie into the 1994 specialist job is that the movie I'm going to shoot next week in Montana is my same fraternity brother who went into an entirely different industry for 30 years in politics, and now is coming back to filmmaking with another producer from the specialist, and they are shooting this film, low budget, independent, up in Montana. I think they're going to shoot for about a month. I'm only there for a week, but again, like the second time or maybe the third time in my entire career that someone's just like, "Hey, I got this job for you." So if you think that you're just going to roll in and have a great resume and just the offers are just going to start flooding in, like that's not how it works. It
takes time.
And it's also about your ability to just smash your head against the cinder block wall over and over and over again and keep coming back.
It's tough.
That's what I like. That's what I like in it too. Yeah.
That's why you got to have something else on the side, like you said.
Just
to make it
more important than ever. And also for young actors coming up, I don't understand when people say, "No, I don't do commercials," or "No, I don't do voiceovers," or "No, I don't do promo." You have to do every fucking thing possible that is even remotely related or adjacent to this industry to just cobble together a living. Waiting tables and bartending was my whole first 15 years of my career. I was terrified to give up my bartending job because I didn't know if the commercial I booked was even going to run. You book a national network spot, you're like, sweet. Don't go out and spend your money because you don't even know they can cancel it within a week. And I know plenty of people have booked a national spot. Like, I'm gonna make 30 grand. Oh my God. And then they could spend a shit ton of money.
They got zero.
Then they pull the spot and you're like, fuck. Credit card debt. But yeah, so I stayed. I was still bartending Wolfgang Putt Cafe. When we had our first baby still, and I was working my ass off because I was terrified that, even though things were starting to hit, that it can end. There's no guarantees. I mean, you could get hit by a bus tomorrow, but there's no guarantees.
Yeah, it's true. Bottom line is, let's be optimistic about the future.
I'm trying to be. I want to. I had an actor, my first equity stage show, and he said to me, I was frustrated about something, and he said, "Beware of the where's mines." And I didn't know what he meant at all. And he had been around he had a long career in New York, and what he was saying was that beware of falling into the trap of when is it going to be my turn? I've done everything right. I've dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's, and I've done my training, and I've shown up, and I've been a great, reliable performer. And when's it going to be like, where's my turn, And I thought that's really profound because you could allow that to consume you as an artist. But the fact of the matter is people still roll in on a Greyhound or on a Southwest flight and get a script from their new agent and book a pilot, which turns into a, 5-year, gig. And that does change your life, right? That does change, but you can't be consumed about where you aren't yet. I think that's what the guy was trying to tell me, And I think he'd gone through a long process of having a degree of success, but not the success that he had hoped for. And, you kind of, at some point, you reconcile.
But that brings another question, which I, been struggling with. Not struggling with, but, gave a lot of thought. So you need some luck.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you do everything right.
Oh, totally.
You need you need to get lucky somehow.
For sure. And a lot of people say, you create your own luck. But sometimes you just step in it. Sometimes there's just dumb luck.
It just happens.
And somebody takes a shine to you. Like my friend Pete, we go back 40 years, as friends, right? He knows me. He knows what I'm capable of. I'm not gonna embarrass him. I think there's a lot of it too. I've had a lot of friends that were very, very successful showrunners, writers, show creators, directors, and a lot of times people are not willing to, even though they know that you have the goods, you have the chops, you have the resume, you have the IMDb, they're afraid to go out on a limb sometimes. And there are a lot of other things at play, in the casting process. We all know that. But sometimes people are just afraid to make a recommendation. And I always try, if a young actor comes to me, and I will help them in any way possible. I've always felt that because people have helped me coming up, and I will always recommend classes. I will, if they want to do a coaching session, I'll do a coaching, whether it's VO or on camera, no problem. And I think that's part of your job, from a karmic sense, right? Mm-hmm. But I think fear within the industry of somehow being compromised or making the wrong choice or recommending someone that doesn't on the day doesn't produce, or I don't know what that looks like. Maybe they've been burned or something. Mm-hmm. That's an eye opener. Because in business, it happens all the time. You go play around at golf and you close a $5 million deal. Yes. You hit it off and you like golf. You had a couple beers and boom. But our business it's tough, man. People are, and we have networks of people that we've worked with in the past that we like and that we there's so many people with major credits that aren't working right now. And certainly on the production side as well. So it's a buyer's market for talent,
There's no formula to it. You just have to do your thing and just hope.
If there's a formula, I'd like someone to tell me. Please share it with me, because I have no idea. I mean, and part of the immense, and my kids feel this as well, and they've been in this business a shorter time. They feel like a sense of despair and a sense of what's the point, Dad? If you are preparing, you're lighting your space, you're setting up your camera, you're getting your reader, you're rehearsing, you're getting off book, and you're sending audition after audition after audition after audition. At what point do you go, I'm not sure if anyone's watching these? So especially for a young person, I could see them. I've been lucky because, if I'll book or something will happen, and I'll get a small gig now here or there. But for a young artist, I mean, that's got to be one of the most challenging aspects of what's happening right now.
Yeah, definitely. From a manager or an agent perspective, like when we get these self-tapes and go, self-tape after the other, and you're not booking, what do they say about it?
I think they know exactly what's going on. I think they know that it depends on how big your agency is too. I don't mean how prestigious, I just mean how physically large, how many clients do they have on their roster. I think that it's we're in an era of just throw the freaking pasta against the wall and see what sticks. And I don't know I don't know. I mean, sure, people still get dropped. I'm sure people still get dropped. Depends on, again, on the size and the prestige of your agency. I mean, who do they even sign? How do you make a decision to sign someone now? What's it based on? Is it just based on a look? Is it based on a type? Like, certainly that's always been an aspect of our existence as actors. They need to represent every look, type, ethnicity, diversity. They need to check many boxes to have a stable of talent that they can draw from at a moment's notice, because everything's like super fast turnaround now, and especially in voiceover, like in promo, like it's like an hour. The turnaround's like an hour. So if you don't have a setup, if you don't have a VO set up at home, that you're not going to be competitive, because you can't just I can't just drive up to CEST really fast and read a piece of copy in the booth anymore. They're all gone. So you'll be stuck doing it on your phone, or hopefully you have a good mic and a good.
So now you have to record it and you have to send it to them.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Every VO audition you're self-recorded in your booth, and sometimes with like 1 hour turnaround. But that's promo mostly.
Okay.
Promo is very quick. Always has been very quick turnaround. Okay. So yeah, all the VO stuff. Usually I read it in the morning. I had a 3-year construction project happening right next to my house, so it was freaking a nightmare to record because our lots are so tight together. But yeah, that's the reality. You want to talk about the new normal, but I guess it's kind of always, for the hardcore voiceover guys, like promo guys, they've always had their studios at home for many years. But now, like with COVID, everyone has this setup. Like everybody has a home setup.
Yeah. Anybody
can record. If you can get representation, you can be in the mix. So in that way, it's good for people first, just starting out. Because when I came to LA, there was maybe 4 or 5 major voiceover and commercial talent agencies. If you weren't with one of those, you probably weren't getting seen, or on the really good projects that you want to be seen on, like a national car spot or car campaign or whatever. You had to be with those. Now, I don't think that's true anymore. I mean, it's helpful to be with the top, whomever they may be now, the top 4 or 5, I don't know. I'm sure that's helpful. But now you can be in Atlanta, you can be in Australia, you can be in London. You can be anywhere.
It's good
for voiceover. Actually for on camera too.
Yeah.
You can send your self-tape. If you get the sides and you prepare and you've got some representation in LA or New York or Atlanta or Florida or New Mexico, then you can be in the mix. I just would rather walk in the room and shake somebody's hand and make them laugh and have a human connection. So that's. But maybe I'm a dinosaur. Maybe that's just ridiculous.
I don't think you can beat that. That's the best.
I mean, that's just how we do business. Connection. It's what we're doing right now. Like, this is important, right? I mean, I'm not saying the content is important. I'm just saying this is important for us as artists, to me. But, I don't know. I'm old.
All right. So if you have any advice for aspiring voiceover actors or actors in general, what would it be?
Again, I would go find a class. There are so many good classes. Elaine Craig, for example, is a fantastic teacher for voiceover. I could rattle off, half a dozen. Take a class and take an acting class. And just find a teacher, and it's really important to, especially when you're first starting out, like to be in a regular course. If you can find an ongoing scene study course with someone that you like and trust, that's just like gold. Just to have that forum, and also so you just don't go insane. You're like, that's the biggest thing. Is if the further you get in your career, a lot of times we fall away from classes and we have families and lives, and schools and other things that take up your time. But if you can be in a regular scene study class, I mean, that's so good for your craft and so therapeutic as well. I mean, I'm guilty of not doing enough of that, you know, and I hope to take advantage of some of the teachers at the SAG Conservatory because SAG Conservatory, sorry, because there's some really, really great teachers there who have incredible careers and resumes, really extraordinary. But I think that we're in a very weird time in that we have a lot of training programs in America right now, a lot of storied, well-established training BFA, BA, MFA programs across the country, and they're cranking out young artists, but they are coming at it a totally different way. Again, like the multi-hyphenate thing, the word which I hate, but it's true. They are coming at it from a very different perspective. They're not just flying to New York, doing a showcase, and getting an agent per se. You know, they realize that they're gonna have to do this. They're gonna have to be the creator. Take a class and learn your craft. And it is a craft. It should be a craft. It should be treated as such. You know.
And then of course they can do their own self-production.
And then you do whatever you want and write. Right. It may not be good. The first stuff you might write might be shit, but share it with others. Shoot a scene. Write a scene. Doesn't even have to be an entire feature or an entire pilot or a spec script. Just shoot a scene with your friends and look at it and go, wow, you know, analyze it and see what works and what doesn't work.
Yeah.
And like you know, look at your amazing production setup. Like this is all you need to shoot a feature right now. An entire feature film. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah.
Like, the technology is just unbelievable now.
It's affordable.
It is affordable.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you're not shooting on 35 millimeter anymore, you know? It's incredible.
Yeah. And you said you coach on voiceover.
Yeah, I have.
So if people want to reach you, what's the best way to do it?
You can reach me at Jon Curry. JonCurry.com is my website, and then that will forward you through to my contact.
Okay.
JonCurry.com. And then yeah, I mean, you could always follow me on Instagram at Jon Curry and personal message me, whatever. Reach out in any way you want. That's fine. Yeah, or you can call the agency. But they won't pick up. You can call them, but you won't reach a human.
So, anything else you would like to add?
No, I mean, this has been a real pleasure. I when we met a few weeks ago, I was like, oh, that sounds like a great opportunity. I wanted to see what you do and how you started your channel, and just, I think that's inspiring, and I think that's a perfect example of what we're talking about, like the new normal, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I know what I need and thrive on as an artist, and that's community of other artists, and I'm always learning from them and hopefully getting better and mostly like refocusing and redirecting, getting back on track, getting back on why we started all of this in the first place, or why did we pursue it? Because we all knew the odds. I mean, we've all known we all know this is one of the most difficult industries to pursue on the face of the earth, and people that are not okay with not knowing where their next paycheck is coming from, or not okay with a routine, or understanding how frequently you'll work or whatever. If you're not okay with, or the complete ambiguity of what it takes to book anything, if you're not okay with that, then this is not the industry for you. Every actor will tell you that. But something keeps artists going. So yeah, prayer, meditation, whatever it takes.
All right. Well, Jon,
this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Thank you so much.
Really
for being
great.
here.
Really fun.
I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you so much.